After we crush the grapes, what we do is run some basic analysis on them. So one of the things we can do is measure the sugar content. This is a hydrometer, and basically the higher it floats, the sweeter the grape juice is. The further it sinks, the less sweet. So if we take this one and have a look, this is running at a level that'll make about 14.5%, 15% alcohol. And this is going to go into the 2020 pig's blood. So we'll now go and test the acid levels. And in Australia, if we decide it needs acid, we can add it. We'll have a try of it and see how tannic it is, how much grip and grab. And we'll probably add some tannin to it. And then we'll let it just sit here cold for a few days just to get some real flavours into it. Is that audio? Yeah. The next thing we do is stir the tanks every 6 hours. So 7 o'clock in the morning, midday, 5 o'clock in the afternoon, 11 o'clock at night. One of the staff are in here physically stirring these 2.5 tonne tanks. We look around the room, there's actually 14 of these tanks. Holds a combined weight of about 40 tonne. So to get around the room, it takes about an hour and a half. We do that 4 times a day. So when we're busy like now, there's 6 hours a day of physically stirring these tanks. So what we do is squeeze the grapes, and every time we squeeze them a bit harder, we get a bit more colour and a bit more tannin. Now sometimes when we do it, the tannin's pleasant and it's an attractive tannin. If you squeeze too hard, it becomes aggressive and then even becomes bitter. So as we're squeezing the grapes and getting this more colour and more tannin, we're constantly tasting and looking to the point where we've probably gone as far as we should go to make a quality wine. Having put the red wine through the press, we then pump the wine away and put it into oak barrels. So the oak barrels could be French or American. The age of the trees is typically something like 80 to 150 years of age. And in the instance of French oak, those tree trunks, when they're taken from the forest, which are controlled by the government, they'll be taken and put on the auction floor, and various coopers, the people that make the barrels, will bid on the trunks. Whoever pays the most will actually get the trunk. Then they'll take it back to their cooperage and that'll be turned into barrels. A tree about 100 years of age is big enough to make about 2 barrels. So, having finished pressing, we then transfer that wine into barrels, and once it goes in there, it'll keep going through the fermentation process. The yeast will be going around like little Pac-Men. It'll be eating the sugar. Once it eats the sugar, it turns the sugar into carbon dioxide and alcohol and also a bit of heat. So when you walk past these barrels, if you have a listen to them, you can actually hear the little bubbles of carbon dioxide coming to the surface like they do in a glass of soft drink. And you actually hear them popping and making this shh sort of noise. As it sits in barrel longer, that sound will get quieter and quieter, and finally it'll end up sounding like rice bubbles. You've just got a little snap, crackle, pop. And then as it starts to finish, that's when we know that the yeast have actually pretty much run out of sugar to eat. All the sugar has been converted into alcohol, and it is now basically considered a finished wine. Once it gets to that point, it's time to do something called a racking. And we'll deal with that in the next video on how to make red wine.